Okay, so coming up on Saturday the 26th of March, the first direct arena in Leeds, we've got an IBF featherweight world title clash. Josh Warrington against Kiko Martinez. Kiko Martinez is the holder and Josh Warrington is the challenger this time around. These two have done it before. 5 years ago, they fought for the same title, with Warrington coming away with a points win. Incidentally, that was not a controversial points win. Two judges had 116, 112 to Warrington. One judge had it a draw, so it was very close. But this time around, they come to fight with Martinez being the champion, having taken the IBF title from Kid Galahad with a brutal 6-round KO last year. So he comes in as the champion. And Warrington's looking for the rematch, having been a bit lost after giving up the IBF title to search for other titles. And then the wheels came off against Maurizio Lara back in that behind closed doors show in 2021. He was KO'd in 9 rounds, and then he rematched with Lara, and it was a technical draw after Lara suffered an accidental head clash after 2 rounds. So really, Warrington is looking for a win. He hasn't had a win since 2019. Now he's got this chance to get back in the mix, back in front of his home crowd, which has always been a big feature of the Josh Warrington story, the Leeds support, the passionate support. And many of us sort of thought that without that support, that maybe was a factor in the behind closed doors loss to Lara. But anyway, he's coming back, and he really needs to get that win in front of his home crowd in Leeds. And Kiko Martinez, at 36 years old, Warrington is 31. Kiko Martinez is coming into this as a slight underdog, even though he's the champion. That was seen as he's having a bit of an Indian summer in his career. I mean, we've seen Kiko Martinez a lot over here, losing to the likes of Frampton and Scott Quigg, close points decisions. And we last saw him before he came over to fight Galahad. We saw him fight Zelfa Barrett over here, and we were all a bit amazed when Barrett was given that unanimous decision win. We were very surprised with that. Maybe that was a precursor. I mean, it was, we're now in a bit of a crisis point with our judging in the UK. And, I think that was, I think these things have heaped up and heaped up and heaped up, haven't they? But that was one of the decisions that you could say, people were scratching their heads after that one. So Martinez, when he came back to fight Galahad, obviously thought, I'm not going to leave it in the hands of the judges, and we'll probably be thinking the same thing this time, although, given recent controversies, the eyes will be on the judges. So let's just have a look at their records anyway. So as we say, Warrington has got that single loss. So he's got 30 wins, 1 loss, and that 1 technical draw. The loss on the draw coming against Lara. Kiko Martinez has had 43 wins, 10 losses, and 2 draws. He's been stopped 4 times. Obviously, Warrington's been stopped that 1 time. But Martinez has got 30 KOs in those 43 wins. So he is a puncher, and he's a single punch, concussive knockout artist as well. You saw what he did with Galahad. Warrington has obviously only been stopped that once, but he's only got 7 KOs in those records. Warrington tends to outwork people, grind them down. So coming into this fight, and again, the interesting thing about this fight as well is they really know each other, these guys. When you're talking about a 50-50 fight, and it's often an overused phrase, I mean, these guys know each other inside out. They've shared 12 rounds together. They've shared a lot of common opponents. They really know each other's styles very well. And if you look at all the ranking bodies, this is what's surprising. I mean, IBF, Warrington is ranked number 4 and Kiko Martinez is number 1. But if you look at all the independent ranking bodies like BoxRec and so on, they're always ranked 9 or 10 or 5 and 6. And, these guys are as close to, a good 50-50 match as you can get, really. If we look at those... common opponents as well. I mean, if you look at, obviously Kiko Martinez, as I said, got that win over Kid Galahad last year, and Kid Galahad previously lost to Warrington for the IBF title, but that was a very controversial split points decision as well. So that took Warrington 25-0 at the time. So it's a really close fight. What I think is going to make the edge and the difference here, and the reason I think Martinez is going as a slight underdog, is I think Warrington is going to shine here. You could say, he hasn't really had a win since 2019. Then he had that defeat against Lara. Kind of forget that technical draw. So is he going to be the same fighter coming out? Because he did take a beating against Lara. It was just a sustained beating over a number of rounds. He just looked completely out of sorts, didn't look himself at all, and didn't cope very well at all in that event. So is he going to be the same fighter after that? Well, I think he probably is. He's probably going to come back. I see him grinding out a points decision win. I think his desire is very high. Martinez is 36. Warrington's 31, but we've been saying this about Martinez for years, and Galahad was thinking the same thing. When he went in against Galahad, we were all saying, you know, he shouldn't be in there with Galahad. This is not a legitimate defence. And then look what happened. But, you know, people get these blips, you know, but people do get, you know, fighters do inexorably get old, and occasionally you have a little blip in an Indian summer when you recapture your form. But in general, you know, Martinez at 36 at featherweight is bound to be on the decline. He's been around for a long time. First turned pro in 2004. So I see Warrington winning this fight, but I think it's going to be a hard fight. I think he's going to grind a points victory out, you know, with the vociferous backing of that Leeds crowd, you know, that are all back after all this time. You know, and I think it's going to be interesting. But bear in mind, Kiko Martinez will fancy his chances. You know, he's seen what he did to Galahad. You know, he'll want to kind of recreate in Warrington's mind the nightmare of that Laura situation when a guy is just hammering away on your chin and just keeps coming and coming and coming, and there's nothing you can do with it. So he will be looking to sort of revisit that nightmare, if you like, for Warrington, and shake him out of his confidence, shake him out of his comfort zone early doors. He's a very live opponent. As I say, the 50-50 moniker really belongs on this fight. You know, and it's going to be a great fight. But I think Warrington's going to come through. I think he's going to have the mental resilience and toughness, and I see him grinding out a points win to get back his old title. You know, and hopefully put this nightmare, which he's had ever since he gave up that title, behind him, and get back to the top of the pile. So that's my prediction. But a great fight, a good undercard as well. We're going to see Ebony Bridges challenging for a world title as well, and you know, some other great fights on there. So it's going to be a big night in Leeds. Let's see what happens.